Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to touch up the spots where I see a little bit of lag in the glue. And a good way to do this is, and they denote this in the assembly manual, is to take a straight razor. I'm just going to go across where I see the holes, just for a little bit of added support. I mean, again, don't get crazy with the glue, because the goal here is to keep it light. You're going to get your ultimate performance by keeping this one as light as possible. And I'm just scraping the glue along, just to create a little bit more, about, say, 5-6 inches at a time when you're doing this method, if you choose to do it. You don't have to. I'm just doing it for a little bit extra. Not that I'm going to need it, but I'm always a ultra-conservative person when it comes to building any plane. So that's it. And right down with your razor, you'll see it flatten out, it spreads out, doesn't look all big and gooey and gunky. And that's it, you're done. Right there, boom. Now we're ready to cut our hole for our propeller. Referring to the manual, it says you want to measure up 5 inches forward from the trailing edge of the plane, which, if you're looking at the delta laying flat, that's 5 inches forward of here, and you want to create a slot that is 9 inches wide by 2 inches long from nose to rear. I'm using a square to get my 5 inches, and just, you can use a ruler or you can use a tape measure. Just be sure to keep it along the center line. That's very important, because you don't want a slot for your propeller, or a space for your propeller that's like cockeyed or something like that. So measure up 5 inches. We got 5 inches right there, and then we're going to just make a little mark in the EPP, and then we're going to square out the measurements for the prop hole. Now this part, I highly recommend the use of a square of some kind, just because you want your lines to be absolutely straight and true. So I'm butting the back end of my square up against the center line of the EPP where I join the wing halves, and I'm coming down, and because our prop slot is going to be 9 inches wide, we're going to go to the left 4.5, and then we're going to flip it over and go to the right 4.5. And I'm just using a basic ballpoint pen. And I'm going to be using a straight edge too, because I want these lines and I want these cuts completely straight and completely vertical. Sometimes it's easy, if you try and do it freehand, to go down at an angle. It wouldn't be that big of a problem, provided that you don't cut down at too much of an angle. But again, I'm vain, so I'm going to be using a straight edge to make sure that I have it absolutely vertical. Just make sure you keep that thing absolutely straight on the cuts. The top one's done. Now we're just going to go for the bottom, 100% lined up. Good. And just down and slide. Okay, the hole is cut, and you can just save this EPP to chew on or something like that, or save it for a later use. The EPP is something that I just always keep around, so save it. Save your EPP. You might need it. Now at this point, you have to attach your elevons to the trailing edge of the wing, and you might be saying, okay, there's a lot of little slots here in this piece of EPP. I'm seeing all kinds of them. Which ones are my elevons? Well, if you look at the outmost portion of the wings, or the wingtips, the part where they came out, not the wide side where you slid them out from, but turn the block of foam around, and if you pop this outermost piece of EPP here, your elevons are actually cut ingeniously right into this one same chunk of EPP. So what you've got to do is you've got to peel back this first piece. This is not an elevon, this outer piece, so don't feel bad about just tearing this off, because we're not really going to use it. And here's your first elevon right in here. And as I said, you have your first elevon, then there's a little spacer, and then your second elevon is on the other side of that little spacer. Different. But there's one elevon right there. And you can notice it. You'll know the elevon because it has a 45-degree angle cut into the leading edge of the elevon. And there will be some slag on them that we'll have to clean up too. And now we're just going to get the slag off of these elevons. There's a substantial amount of slag on these elevons. So the elevons are lined up, and the next step is to trim the elevons just a little bit. What we're going to do is we're going to take a 1/4 inch off the inside, 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch, and a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch off the other side, the inside of the elevons, from the inside looking out. And then outside here, we're going to cut a diagonal line down, because you don't want this clipping or anything on your low passes, or if you start getting crazy with your 3D stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure a 1/4 inch over here, a 1/4 inch over here, a 1/4 inch here, and a 1/4 inch here, and then trim that out. And I measured out actually a 1/2. I'm going back a 1/2. And make sure it's straight line down, because you want these to be absolutely straight coming off, and just trim it right on off. There we go. There's our little space in the center. And
our leading edge, or outermost edge, is beveled and contoured to a 45-degree angle. If you look at the whole wing, now it's starting to take shape.